Hi, I'm Daryl Leary, and I don't think this is going to be a very popular video, but I feel compelled to do this because it feels like the right thing to do. I've prepared a speech, 6 pages. This presentation does not have a political agenda. I am Canadian and cannot vote in the US election. I have far more invested interest in my own Canadian government and how that Canadian government affects me and my country. I am, however, deeply concerned about Donald Trump's negative and damaging attitudes and behaviors concerning women. It concerns me because Donald Trump has so much influence over American society, and half of that society is made up of women. I am also disturbed by the multitude of people who dismiss, excuse, or downplay Donald Trump's unhealthy attitudes and behaviors towards women, because it illustrates that our society has a serious sickness when it comes to how women ought to be perceived and treated. I will attempt to illustrate that Donald Trump does not respect women, and why his attitudes and behaviors towards women is damaging to all women. In the recent leaked 2005 video of Donald Trump speaking with Billy Bush, Donald Trump says, "Yeah, that's her, with the gold. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait." I personally believe that this not only brings into question Donald Trump's lack of self-control over his own sexual urges, but that kissing a woman without her consent is inappropriate and wrong. Unless a woman has established a consensual relationship that merits a man kissing her, it is an intimate invasion of her personal space. And the truth is that there are many women who are intimidated and uncomfortable with being kissed by a man who they don't even know. All you need to do is ask women and they will tell you. Now, from country to country, there may be cultural differences regarding acceptable ways to greet the opposite sex, but if there's a chance it may make a woman feel uncomfortable and intimidated, then why would you do it? Then Donald Trump goes on to say, "And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything." And Billy Bush asks, "Whatever you want?" And Donald Trump replies, "Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything." So now Donald Trump is positing that because he's a star, he has special permission to sexually assault any woman, and they'll let him do it. Not just grab them by the genitals, but do anything you want. This is a 59-year-old man essentially bragging about sexually assaulting women. This is extremely troubling because at 59 years old, this man still has not learned that sexual assault is not only a crime but absolutely wrong. And it goes on to further promote a behavior that can easily turn into rape, and rape destroys the lives of women. And far more troubling is the possibility that Donald Trump is talking from experience. Otherwise, how would he know he could get away with it with such actions towards women? I suspect that Donald Trump severely lacks appropriate boundaries when it comes to interacting with women. And this may even justify his behaviors towards women as appropriate if there fails to be any protest on behalf of the woman. But just because the woman in question does not protest does not mean she approves. She could be feeling shocked, humiliated, embarrassed, or angry. Then, in 2016, 9 years later, after Donald Trump's comments were made public, he issues an apology. "I never said I was a perfect person nor pretended to be someone that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret, and the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them. Anyone who knows me knows these words don't reflect who I am. I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize." Then he goes on to talk about his travels during his campaign and how they changed him, and how he's humbled by people's faith in him. And he pledges to be a better man tomorrow. And he says he'll never ever let you down. Then goes on to say, "Let's be honest, we're living in the real world. This is nothing more than a distraction from the important issues we are facing today." Here are my issues. He starts off his apology by saying, "I never said I was perfect." That sounds like an excuse because he is implying that any imperfect man could or would do the same, and all men are imperfect. So it can't be that bad, right? Then he goes on to state that the video is more than 10 years old and that anyone who knows him knows those words don't reflect who he is. One thing we can be sure of is that that video reflected exactly who he was 10 years ago when he does not think he's being recorded. So there could be a bit of a contradiction because a man is the product of his past. And even Dr. Phil will tell you that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. But maybe he did learn that his comments were wrong. After all, he said, "I was wrong, I apologize." But then he dismisses the seriousness of his comments by saying, "This is nothing but a distraction from the important issues." I could not disagree more. Number one, this is an insight into how Donald Trump viewed and perceived women just 10 years ago. If his views and attitudes concerning women did not change during the first 59 years of his life, how likely is it that they changed during the last 9 years? And secondly, if this man truly does not respect women, what kind of president will he be when he is representing the half of the US population that is made up of women? And if he becomes president, will he appropriately deal with other women in positions of power? And what kind of example and message will his conduct concerning women have on the US population and other countries? So I believe it is a potentially important issue. It is more than a distraction. It's a serious concern. The key here is that Donald Trump never explained why his comments were wrong. I honestly believe he does not know why his comments regarding women were wrong. And if he does not know why his comments regarding women were wrong, then how can he truly learn from it and therefore truly be apologetic? But then during his second debate with Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump refers to his comments on tape as locker room talk and goes on to posit that they are just words, not actions. To brag about sexually assaulting women as locker room talk is deeply troubling. That is to posit that it is common for men to brag about sexual assault in the locker room behind closed doors. But that does not mean it's any less wrong. Even if there is a multitude of men speaking this way in the locker rooms, it does not mean it's okay to do so. Even if women have heard worse than those words spoken by Donald Trump, it does not make it okay. What it means is that there is a serious societal sickness when it comes to how men in general ultimately perceive women and what they think of women. A sick perception that needs to be addressed. It is not indicative of a man's human nature. It is indicative of what a man has been taught as being acceptable behavior. And women who think this is simply who men are by nature have been desensitized to the very ugly nature of this type of behavior by the frequency of this behavior. The inherent danger of this type of talk, belief, and attitude is that it will ultimately mold the actions of certain men concerning women. Going back to Donald Trump's statement that his comments were just words and not actions, women like Temple Taggart, 21-year-old Miss Utah, was reported to have been kissed by Donald Trump without her consent back in 1997. In an interview with the New York Times, she commented, "He kissed me directly on the lips. I thought, oh my God, gross. There are a few other girls that he kissed on the mouth and I was like, wow, that's inappropriate." This sounds exactly like what Donald Trump essentially admitted to on the 2005 leaked video. "I just kissed him. I don't even wait." Remember during the second debate against Hillary Clinton, moderator Anderson Cooper asked Donald Trump, "Just for the record though, are you saying that what you have said on the bus 11 years ago that you did not actually kiss women without consent or grope women without consent?" Back in 2005, on the Howard Stern Show, Donald Trump admitted to going into the dressing rooms during the Miss USA pageant which he owned while the contestants were changing. Trump has also bragged before that, as owner of the beauty pageant, he is entitled to walk in on contestants. "I'll go backstage before a show and everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else," he told Howard Stern. "And no men are there, and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it." Trump continued from there. "You see these incredible looking women, and I sort of get away with things like that." A contestant at the 2000 Miss USA pageant told BuzzFeed Trump had walked into a pageant changing room when everyone was naked. Now there's a report of Donald Trump walking into the change rooms of Miss Teen USA pageant back in 1997. BuzzFeed reported that Maria Bellato, a contestant from Vermont, who recalled having to get dressed really quickly because Trump had entered the room. "Girls were just scrambling to grab stuff," she added. Bellato paraphrased the GOP presidential nominee as saying, "Don't worry, ladies, I've seen it all before." When she first learned that Trump was running for president, she thought, "Oh, gross, this guy walked in on us in the pageant." BuzzFeed said 3 other women who also remembered Trump entering the changing room while the contestants, some as young as 15 years old, were in and out of their clothes. So this guy feels it's appropriate to walk into a changing room filled with women changing, women who could be naked, just because he owns the pageant. I don't care if he paid for their schooling, paid their bills, bought their houses. He has no right to walk into a woman's changing room, period. That to me is nothing short of perversion. No warning of his entering. No, everybody has 5 minutes to cover up. Donald Trump wants to inspect how things are going. That is just absolutely wrong. And if the story of Donald Trump walking into the change rooms of Miss Teen USA are true, then this is beyond inappropriate, especially when there are girls as young as 15 years old. This man has absolutely no sense of appropriate boundaries when it comes to women. Now there is an increasing news reports through various media of Donald Trump sexually abusing women. At least 5 women who allege Donald Trump sexually abused them. Honestly, I cannot keep up with these reports. Whether you believe the newest reports of sexual assault, Donald Trump admitted to Howard Stern that he goes into the Miss USA pageant change rooms and gets away with it. As a note, however, the newest allegations of sexual assault do align very well with Donald Trump's comments on the 2005 video. "Grab them by the pussy, you can do anything, and they'll let you do it." Perhaps these women only coming forward now after so many years gave Donald Trump the impression that they'll let you do it. Another concern regarding Trump's attitudes towards women is his objectifying women. In a recent 1992 video, Trump asks a 10-year-old girl if she's going up an elevator. She replies, "Yeah." Then Trump turns to the camera and says, "I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?" Trump has made his share of highly questionable comments regarding women. Back in 2006 on The View, Trump made a comment regarding his daughter Ivanka. "I've said, if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I would be dating her." His comments are creepy because they are aimed at those people that we don't associate sexual thoughts with, like his own daughter and a 10-year-old girl. There is no shortage of insults aimed at women that can be found online on behalf of Donald Trump. Most comments usually carry a commentary insulting their appearance. In fact, there are too many for me to comment on. In fact, there is far too many examples of Donald Trump's mistreating women for me to comment on. All you need to do is do your own research, and you will most likely come to the same conclusion that I have, that Donald Trump does not respect women. Alas, let's not forget that on the 2005 video, Donald Trump talks about trying to have sex with a married woman. Donald Trump is heard saying, "I did try and fuck her, she was married." This is a man who thinks nothing about respecting a married woman and the possible consequences of destroying a marriage and possibly lives connected to that marriage. This demonstrates a complete lack of empathy for the possible consequences of one's actions on other people's lives. I have worked hard on this presentation because Donald Trump has become a role model to so many people, And as such, his negative values concerning women carry a huge influence onto American society. And I am making the point that his perception, values, and behaviors towards women is not appropriate and should not be tolerated. It is my opinion that Donald Trump approaches women as if they are all sexually available to him and that their quality as a human being can be rated by their appearance, with no consequence to him. And that is not acceptable, period. I don't believe my presentation will be popular with too many people, but I have to stand up for women because half of humanity is made up of women. And women live in a reality where they face the possibility of stalking, sexual harassment, domestic abuse, discrimination based on sex, being objectified, rape, and unwanted sexual attention. It's not right that half the human population has to put up with this. People want to be appreciated for who they are, not taken advantage for what they can offer. Thank you. I'm Daryl Leary.